Talofa, kia ora, good afternoon everyone. It's so good to see you, and can I say thank you and welcome to the Operations Centre here. I've had a briefing this morning from our team. I just have to say how incredibly proud I am of Commodore Brown and all of the team that are here and all the work that our people have played working together so effectively with the Samoan government and their authorities to make sure that we manage what has been a very unfortunate accident. And we're doing an incredibly good job of working our way through the issues and making sure that we mitigate any environmental impact. And I'm very, very proud of the people that are here and very, very proud of the way that they're working together and partnering with their colleagues as well. So with that, happy to take your questions.
Prime Minister, do you plan to visit anyone personally affected by the Manawanui sinking?
Well, again, I'm here because I want to recognise the individuals from New Zealand's NZDF, but also from Maritime New Zealand, that have been working incredibly hard, as I said, with their Samoan authorities to make sure that we actually are doing everything we can. And what I'd just say is that our immediate focus was to make sure that our personnel were safe, and we were well supported by locals on the ground here. We were well supported by police and also first responders from Samoa. Now our focus is jointly, we're working towards mitigating any environmental impact. As you know, we're trying to mitigate and dissipate any minor leaks that are coming out through venting pipes. The good news is those primary fuel tanks are intact, and we'll talk about how we remove that very, very shortly. But then obviously our focus has been making sure there's no debris. There's been clearly no loss of marine life. There's been no pollution on shore. We've removed the containers, the 3 containers that were actually on the reef. So now we move to a different phase, and that phase is working with our insurers and our salvers to make sure that we get a safe uplift of the fuel out of the ship. And we do that as quickly as we can.
You won't be meeting with any locals?
I'm not sure at this stage, but what I'm here is to meet with the individuals from both the New Zealand and Samoan teams that have actually been working so incredibly hard to make this what is a very difficult set of circumstances and a very difficult environment. We have seen the best of New Zealand, I think, through our service people that have been on the ground here right immediately from when the accident happened and doing an incredible job. So I'm very, very proud of them.
In terms of the next step, have there been any conversations around compensation for the people of Samoa that might have been affected?
Yeah, look, I understand those concerns. For right now, what I really want to make sure is that we are working our way through the phases of this incredibly well. First and foremost, make sure our people are safe. That was job number 1. Job number 2 is to really make sure that we have, mitigate that environmental impact. Job number 3 is obviously to uplift the fuel and then to deal with the wreck, and then we'll deal with other issues after.
So is compensation something that the government will be considering going forward?
Again, our focus as a total government, and it has to be this way, is we want 100% focus each and every day, because every day lost not dealing with mitigating the environmental impact is not something that we're prepared to stand for. So that's why everyone is very much ruthlessly focused on delivering against that.
Will the useless trip to apologise to the people of Samoa for the ship?
Well, it's been, it's something I've obviously conveyed, that we're incredibly sorry for what was an unfortunate accident. There was a ship here trying to support CHOGM by doing surveying activity. We've obviously got 460 New Zealanders here also supporting CHOGM. We've spent 15 million New Zealand dollars supporting it as well. But for us, it's about making sure that I have conveyed that very much to the acting Prime Minister immediately and the Prime Minister. That we are sorry that we've got this unfortunate accident we're having to work our way through and deal with. But what I'm proud about is the Samoan government and the New Zealand and the authorities have been fantastic to work with and partnered with us and invited us in. We're doing everything we can. We're putting all of our resources, all of our smart people on board, all of our capacity, and working in conjunction incredibly well.
Samoan authorities say it was 200,000 litres of diesel spilled into the ocean. Are we downplaying the significance of this disaster?
I just would encourage you to go back and look at the communication that we've been providing from the Commodore to say that number was an initial estimate, but we don't think it's anything near like that.
Looking ahead to your meeting with Sir Keir Starmer later tonight, what is it that you're looking to convey? What are the messages from New Zealand that you're looking to discuss with the Prime Minister?
Well, look, UK is one of our oldest and closest partners and friends. We will continue to talk about how we can expand the bilateral relationship. That predominantly has come through the creation of the UK-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement. That two-way trade has been one of our fastest growing over the last year. It's been growing about 10%. We'll also talk about how we continue to deepen up the people-to-people connections. But then it's also a chance to talk about some of the regional issues, and in particular the UK over the last decade has really stepped up its engagement with the Pacific, and it's about what more can we do to partner with Pacific Island nations, work together to actually get economic development and critical infrastructure into the region. And then there'll be a good conversation around Ukraine in particular, because as you know, we have a number of New Zealand Defence personnel working with British personnel on training Ukrainian soldiers in the UK. And I'd be interested in his perspective on that, given his proximity to what's happening. And I really appreciate the UK's leadership actually around the Ukraine challenge, because that is something that we will not stand for, and we're going to continue to support Ukraine. And then obviously discussion on the Middle East will be a focus as well.
Prime Minister, are you?
You're
Sorry.
also going to be meeting with King Charles. What are you going to be discussing there, and will that include a conversation about the future of CHOGM and its relevancy, especially with small island countries?
Well, it'll actually be my first time meeting with him, and so it's an opportunity to get a sense of, as the new king, what is his vision of where he would like CHOGM to go. And I'll be very interested in getting that perspective from him as well. So I think initially it'll be a relational conversation, a conversation about what's also going on in New Zealand, and briefing him on where we are and what we're trying to achieve as a new government, but also an opportunity to talk about, as you say, his vision of where he thinks CHOGM should go and where it could go.
Do you think that CHOGM could be a bit more gutsy, especially when it comes to international relations and war and peace within the world?
Well, I think it's a rather unique body. You know, we have a number, if you think about the fora that I've been participating in, leading the IP4 at NATO or in the East Asia Summit or later on at APEC at the end of the year, CHOGM is pretty unique in the sense that we've got 56 countries. I think 33 of them are small island developing states. And as a result, you've got a big, 2.5 billion people represented by CHOGM. You've got a population that's incredibly young. I think 60% of the CHOGM population is essentially under the age of 29. So as a result, you get quite a different set of issues. And I'm as my first CHOGM, just really interested to engage with those leaders of those countries to get a sense of what's on their minds, because it is a unique and quite special forum. And it's sort of, I'm coming into this as my first CHOGM, trying to get a sense of where those countries are actually all sitting and what are the issues that are important to them, and listening to them actually, and I think that will then inform collectively where we think CHOGM can go in the future.
Prime Minister, are you pleased to be the bearer of good news? The Citizenship Bill passed its second reading this morning. How do you feel ahead of your trip?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's an issue that I know has been of interest to people here in Samoa, but certainly it's been important both for Samoa, but more importantly for New Zealand, that we have that really contained to the people that were impacted by that decision back in 1982. And so rather than repeal the 1982 bill, what we've done is amend the bill to say that if you were born between 1924 and 1949, which is when citizenship was stripped from those individuals, that'll be limited to that cohort with a few exceptions. So, that's as a result, you've seen all the political parties in New Zealand come on board to support that. We just want to make sure that it actually has got some limits and constraints around it.
Do you think it will be appropriate for the New Zealand government to apologise to the government of Samoa for passing such a racist law? I mean, you've label it as?
Well, I'll just say to you, again, just in terms of what we've gone through that process of, is making sure that we amend the 1982 law. We're only in the second reading. We obviously need to have a third reading and then go through the committee of the whole in a third reading before it becomes the law. So there's still a wee way to go through the Parliament. But again, what you've seen is the political parties all coming around saying, okay, yes, there was a wrong that needs to be made right, and we're going to do that in a very appropriate way to make sure that it's really targeted and specific to that cohort of about 3,500 people that were impacted by
just sticking domestically, you would have seen news about the person that was stabbed on the bus in Onehunga. I was wondering if you have a message, A, for the victim's family, and B, just at the state of crime in Auckland at the moment. We're seeing assaults on bus drivers quite often. We've had quite a lot of reaction about how unsafe that is.
Yeah, look, incredibly saddened and just shocked, to be honest, and just thoughts really with the family of the victim, because they were just going about their everyday life, and that could have been anyone in New Zealand, and I think that's why New Zealanders will feel pretty confronted by this issue and this incident, because there was someone trying to go about their daily life and lost their life, and that shouldn't happen in New Zealand. So, there's obviously an ongoing investigation. I can't talk too much about the specifics of that, but suffice to say, we need to think again about what more we can be doing.
Is one of those things more security on buses? I mean, there's a lot of assaults happening on buses outside of this tragic event that happened.
Yeah, may well be, but for right now, I think, I just want to acknowledge the victims and their family and their loved ones who will be in a state of absolute shock and horror about what has actually happened here. Then it's important that the police can get on and do their investigation, and we will be up for anything and everything that actually makes sure that it's a safer environment. Sorry.
What new details can you share around Operation Resolution from your briefing today, and whether the ship will be brought up off the bottom of the sea?
Yeah, look, I've been really well briefed from immediately from when it happened, and so I often get 2 or 3, even 4 briefings a day on it since the incident. So it's been something I've been very much wanting to be briefed on continuously. So in terms of the structure of what we're doing here, it wasn't a surprise to me, but actually what's been really impressive is to see the way that the Samoan authorities and the New Zealand team are actually working together really constructively. It's also been really encouraging to see even the engagement with villages, on shorelines, and just actually, that communication and that outreach to them and how that's working as well. But also just get a sense of just the calibre of work that's been going on. I get pictures from drones that are flown by 3 very fantastic young people that are here. I get updates from the Colonel essentially on what's been happening, and so it's been nice to actually meet our people behind the information that I've been getting, and importantly to get a feel and a sense of is that connectivity with the Samoan authorities in particular strong and positive and deep, and it absolutely is, and that's the playback I've had back in my conversations with Prime Minister Fiame, but also it's good to see it and feel it here on the ground. As I said, personnel, I mean, I do want everyone to understand, to be able to get 75 people off the ship in the way that it did in really challenging conditions and high seas in the dark, that was fantastic effort, because that was a pretty harrowing account when I met with the people, our service personnel that came off that boat at midnight when they came back to Auckland. I can tell you it was pretty interesting hearing some of their stories and just about how harrowing and challenging it actually was. So I'm always eternally grateful for the people of Samoa for all of that support and getting 75 New Zealanders off that ship safely without anyone losing their life. That was a big deal. The second thing I'd say is that we are now focused on that environmental impact. We know the major fuel tanks are intact and the wreck is essentially stable, which is a good thing. But now the next phase moves. I'll feel much better, and I think all of us will feel much better when we get the safe uplift of that fuel off the ship. Then we can talk about what happens next as to whether the ship, there's been conversations about, as you'd be aware of, whether it's used as a recreational dive, tourism attraction, whether it's actually salvaged. That'll be a decision for essentially the Navy and the insurers and the salvage to work their way through in due course with the Samoan government.
People in the villages, do they have a say on it?
Well, again, that'll be done in conjunction with the Samoan government and authorities here.
On CHOGM, will New Zealand be supporting the Oceans Declaration that we anticipated to come out from CHOGM?
Yes, and I think what's fantastic is this is the first CHOGM that's been held in the Pacific outside of Australia and New Zealand, it's going, and Prime Minister Fiame chairing the forum will bring her thematics to it, which I think will be really important, which will be around oceans, it'll be around climate change, it'll be around youth, it'll be around gender. And that, coupled with the core focus of CHOGM, which should really be around the democratic institutions, building good governance, good capability and capacity within government and democracies and the rule of law, will be, I think, make a very interesting CHOGM. And I think to have the Samoan influence coming into CHOGM, a body of 56 countries, I think will be absolutely fantastic. So yes, look forward to supporting it.
Would you support a Commonwealth free trade deal?
I'm not sure that's. I mean, again, I'm new to CHOGM, and I really genuinely, as I get a feel for in my first year as Prime Minister for the different forum that are there, I'm really quite excited about this, because I think the 56 countries have a different perspective from the other groupings of groups that I've gone and been participated in over the course of the year. So for me, it'll be interesting to see whether that's raised by other countries, as an opportunity or not. But I think the primary focus of CHOGM, frankly, is about making sure we have good governance, strong democratic institutions, good adherence to the rule of law, and I think the real treasure of having it here in Samoa is getting a Pacific perspective into CHOGM. And as I said, I think Prime Minister Fiame has done a very good job of actually shaping up an agenda that will be talking about oceans and climate change and gender and youth and all those good things as well, which I think will make it make it a very rich conversation.
Prime
Minister,
Minister, are
Okay.
you in favour
So-
of New Zealand becoming a republic like your predecessor, John Key?
Well, I think, you know, as I said the other day, I'm probably a soft Republican. I suspect that may happen sometime in my lifetime, but for right now, New Zealand's focused on some other things. You know, we have to rebuild and fix our economy, we have to restore law and order, and we have to do a better job of delivering public services and health and education.
Prime Minister,
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Richard,
See you guys.
how are you?
Good to go. Thanks so much.
Okay.